What's going on, 49er faithful, 49er fan, 49er gang? This is your boy Niner Gang Podcast back in the building. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can get you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. With that being said, let's get right on into it, man. Week 10 is in the books, and it was one for the books. There were a ton of close games, only a few beatdowns. Unfortunately, we took serious butt kicking here. But definitely a little bit different. You know what I mean? There were a lot of very very close games, a lot of low scoring games that just unfortunately wound up happening. So let's take a look at some of these games and get into them and see exactly what happened. So we start off week 10 on Thursday Night Football with a very low scoring game. This was a divisional battle along with it being a low scoring game. Divisional battles are always a lot tougher and it's a little bit harder to be able to maintain and win those. So this was the Raiders versus the Broncos. So the Broncos pull off the win 10-7. Basically, Broncos scored in the second and third quarter. Raiders scored in the first quarter and didn't score in any other quarter. This was definitely what you call a defensive battle. This was definitely what you call a divisional game because look at the score, 10-7. These defenses were stingy. They didn't want to give anybody any kind of reprieve. When you come in and you just take a look at just the sheer numbers in general as far as this game goes, they were very, very low. So it's pretty crazy. Geno Smith, 143 yards. Bo Nix, 150 yards passing. They're very pedestrian numbers. Both teams rushing in total, 74 for the Raiders, 84 for the Broncos. Like, this was just a defensive game. Raiders had 2 sacks. Broncos had 6. Yeesh. So they lived in that backfield. You can tell that much. Come down and take a look at the kicking. Daniel Carlson, this is why kicking matters. I've said this a million times, people. If he makes that field goal, at least this game is tied up. And at a bare minimum, you can go to OT. But missed a field goal, it is what it is. Heck, well, let's even miss the field goal. You know what I'm saying? If he'd have made his extra field goal, that field goal made possibly by Daniel Carlson, would still have put the game out of reach because they'd have won 13-10. So these are things that happen, and this is why we always say kickers matter, because you put them in position to help you win games, and they do not help you win games because they miss kicks. Or, now a blocked kick, you can't do anything. That's on the line. The line has to do their job. But, I mean, hey, if you just, if you hooking kicks, you far wide or, you don't have enough leg to get the length on it, then that's on you. Next game up is the Falcons versus the Colts. Now, the Colts won this one, but it was a close game, 31-25. That's just 6 points. That's literally a touchdown. You didn't even need the extra point. The touchdown would have got you at least into OT. Falcons scored pretty much in every quarter, and they did wind up going to overtime, but that was where the Colts sealed the deal. So they wound up getting it with that 6 points and calling it a game. Jonathan Taylor is the MVP of the league, people. Stop playing with me, and don't tell me anything different. What's going on, Rick? What's going on, Terradome? I'm doing good, man. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm, staying cool out here in Arizona. We finally getting some temperatures down toward the end of the week. It'd be nice to get down to lower temperatures and stay away from the higher. Believe me, it's cool enough. I ain't complaining, but either way, it still sucks. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor is the MVP of the league, period. I don't care what anyone says, man. You got to respect what this dude is doing. Jonathan Taylor himself ran for 244 yards. He averaged 7.6 yards a carry. Even taking away his 83-yard run, that's still insane average. 3 TDs? Like, what are you serious? And then the man still got 3 passes for 42 yards. And that was on 3 targets. So he caught them all. This is just insane. What Jonathan Taylor is doing is straight up MVP worthy. And they better not give it to a quarterback over him. I'm sorry. You've got to recognize what this dude is doing and how valuable he is to his team. Get that man an MVP and stop playing. Stop just handing it to a quarterback every year. Pissing off fans like me because we just get tired of seeing the quarterback get all the love and all the money and all the accolades when you got other moving parts of the offense that really deserve a good look. You got defensive dudes out there that ball year in and year out, don't get no love. They just get defensive player of the year. this is a problem in the NFL. But when you take a look at this game, man, it wasn't really a lot going on. Basically, it looks like Jonathan Taylor just put the Colts on his back and was like, all right, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Indy didn't score in the second or third quarter. They only scored all their points in the first and the fourth quarter, and then that 6 points in overtime. So, Falcons defense was doing a pretty good job on them. It's just, that fourth quarter and OT just couldn't continue to hold up, man. Michael Penix Jr. did start, but he fumbled, lost the ball. There you go. Turnovers, don't look good. Colts D had 3 sacks. Oh, they lived in that backfield, man. 7 sacks from the defense of the Falcons. That's fantastic for them, man. And these are all individual. So Ronnie Harrison, looks at Jalen Walker, Caden Ellis, Zach Harrison, Ebiketie. You got Brandon Dorless, James Pierce. They obliterated that Colts offensive line, which is really good. You got the 7 sacks, but you still let Jonathan Taylor run wild. This just don't add up. This is almost like a movie. It's confusing. For y'all to have 7 sacks, lose a game, and then Jonathan Taylor still ran all over you, beats me, man. Tells me your pass defense is good. Your front seven's pass defense is good, but their rush defense is horrible. That's just basically what that's telling me. And then Michael Badgley missed a field goal, missed an extra point. And see, this is once again why kickers matter. If you make this field goal, you don't got to go to OT. If you make the extra point, you don't got to go to OT. Kickers matter, people. Kickers definitely matter. But hey, Colts pick up the win. They keep going. They're now 8-2 on the season, balling out. And this game was a nice little barn burner. You had the Bears versus the Giants. Bears pick up the win here, 24-20. New York didn't score in the first quarter, and the Bears didn't score in the second quarter. But at the end of the game, hey, the Bears figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Jackson Dart, 19-29, 242 yards, no TDs. Caleb Williams, 20-36, 220 yards, only 1 touchdown. For the rushing, you know what I'm saying? Caleb Williams had his touchdown. Kyle Monangi had his TD. And then you had 2 rushing touchdowns by Jackson Dart, but that was all they could muster, man. The 1 touchdown pass was caught by Rome Odunze, and then you switch over, you take a look at it. So 4 sacks by the Bears defense, not a bad thing. 2 of those sacks came from C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Then you had Montez Sweat with a sack and a half, and the other half of that sack goes to Javon Dexter Sr. So Bears defense did their job. Of course, no interceptions thrown. Cairo Santos, 100% on his kicking. Young Ho Koo found himself a home in New York since he was cut by the Falcons. So he was good. He was money, 100% on his field goals. So that just tells you straight up, man, this was a very, very close game, only won by 4 points. But, hey, at the end of the day, the Bears get the win. They do what they were supposed to do, and they come out on top. Bills versus Dolphins. Now, this is ones that nobody saw coming. Nobody saw this divisional battle going in favor of the Dolphins. We all thought that the Bills would just go down there and beat up on the Dolphins. But the Dolphins said, we going to beat you down. You ain't beating us down. So they beat them by 17 points, too. And this, once again, proves that divisional games are always the toughest. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely very rare. Falcons versus the Panthers, man, it's definitely gonna be rough. Yeah. You see, what I didn't think of was it was a divisional game, and you did call that, man. You did call that. But me thinking I'm just looking at it like the Dolphins are just horrible this year, and it doesn't matter who they play. I usually pick them to lose because they just don't look good. But hey, once again, divisional games. That's what it is. You did call it, TD. So Josh Allen, 28-40, 306 yards, 2 TDs. He was sacked 3 times. Tua, 15-21. The man threw 2 TDs and 2 interceptions. And they still won the game. I mean, I don't know. You just wasn't capitalizing off of those turnovers. Devon Achane ran wild on them, 22 carries, 174 yards, and 2 TDs. So that tells me that the Bills' pass defense is nice, but they run defense is garbage. That man ran wild. He ran all over them. They barely had any passing, and he hit 5 different receivers. That's it. While Josh Allen threw the ball to any and everybody he could find. Wasn't a lot of catches here and there. Maybe everybody was doing their thing, but just too many different targets. Minkah Fitzpatrick had that fumble recovery. You know what I'm saying? You come down, you take a look at the kicking. Heck, Matt Prater wasn't really needed because they wasn't getting in field goal range. And then when you come over and look at Riley Patterson, he did everything. He just missed one of his extra points. That's where Mitch is. So Mitch Wisnowski is now in Buffalo. Good for him, man. I miss old Mitch, man. That old strong, Aussie. I loved him, man. I know he had the back issue and we had to let him go, and we went on ahead and went on to Morstead. But while he was here, man, Mitch a couple times on special teams laid the hammer down on some folks. People feared that dude as a punter. He wasn't, he's a big, strong, stout, dude. But hey, man, Dolphins kicked their teeth in, beat them by 17 points, and reminded them division games ain't gonna be no walk in the park. You ain't gonna come in here and do nothing. Next game on the docket was the Ravens versus the Vikings. Now, that's a good one there. Ravens versus the Vikings, 27-19. The Ravens pull off the win. They've been on a streak. I believe the Ravens are on a 2 or 3 game winning streak since Lamar's return. Basically, the Ravens scored in every quarter. So did the Minnesota Vikings. Ravens were better. Lamar Jackson, 17-29. He only had 176 yards and 1 TD. Derrick Henry, 20 carries, 75 yards. So it wasn't a lot. So I'm trying to figure out where the scoring came from. If he only threw 1 touchdown, and we had some dude named Justice Hill score a rushing touchdown. I don't even know what that is. And then you flip to the other side, J.J. McCarthy, 1 TD, 2 interceptions, 1 sack. So there it is. That's where the issues start coming in. You have a bunch of fumbles. You know what I mean? On both sides of the ball. This is crazy. So this was definitely a little bit of a defensive game. You only had 1 sack by the Ravens defense, 1 sack by the Vikings defense as well. But you did have that interception from Marlon Humphrey and 1 from Malachi Starks. And you come in and you take a look at it, man. This was just a kicker's game. That's basically what it was. It was a kicker's game. Tyler Luke, 4 out of 5 on his field goals, 1 on 1 on his extra points. And that's basically what it looks like. That's where everything came from, man. It was craziness. It was definitely craziness in this game. But, hey, the Ravens keep on winning. The Vikings keep on losing. And we got to keep on moving. So let's take a look at it. We got the Jets versus the Browns. Now, a lot of people call the Browns. I know I was one of them to call the Browns for winning. But we all know the Browns are a horrible dumpster fire with everything they got going on with Stefanski and the quarterbacks, and Shador, Dylan Gabriel, and it's just bad for the Browns right now. And I get a lot of Browns content on Facebook, and the Browns literally are basically like any of their a good majority of their commentators, the people who cover the Browns, are basically saying, "Come on, man, just put the kid in. Let's see what he's got." At this point, the season is over. You're 2-7. You're not going nowhere. You definitely ain't making no playoffs. So let's just see what the kid's got. Give him a shot. And Stefanski had the nerve to sit up there on national television and go out there and tell everybody Dylan Gabriel is our guy. We're rolling forward with Dylan Gabriel. Now, my thing is, if you wanted to keep your job, you should have at least tried Shador out when you seen Gabriel could barely complete a basic pass. Like, if you watch this dude play, bro, he is not a quarterback. He is not good at all. I am sorry. I've watched him several games. I have the little NFL Plus joint, so I can watch the games, and watch the all 22. I'm sorry, Dylan Gabriel ain't seeing the field right, bro. He's not it. And let me say this. I am not stating that Dylan Gabriel shouldn't have the opportunity to be able to play football, for any other reason outside of the fact that he's just not good at it. That's it. It doesn't have anything to do with Shador being black. It doesn't have anything to do with Shador being Deion's son. None of that. This is strictly just the simple fact that Dylan Gabriel just isn't good. And you've got to see what you got for other people. You know what I'm saying? If you got another dude on the squad and you just need to get at a guy shot, you got the locker room, you got the city, you got the Haslam grandkids that love Shador Sanders. Hell, the man is not even really tripping off the money because he gets a nice little cut on his jersey sales. And he sells more jerseys than anybody on the team. I think the only other person who comes close is Myles Garrett. That's it. So this game, once again, Dylan Gabriel goes out there and screws, does what he does. 17-32, 167 yards, 2 TDs. I don't know, man. I don't know. Justin Fields. I'm sitting here shitting on Dylan Gabriel and Justin Fields. New York, y'all got to figure out what y'all doing. 6 of 11, 1 TD, 1 interception, 3 sacks, and 54 yards. I don't know who your offensive coordinator is, but that ain't gonna work. Starting quarterbacks cannot be 6 of 11. You can't have them throw the ball 11 times, and then you ran the ball 33 times. This ain't adding up. And I know y'all won, but this is just weird, man. Brees Hall had the 1 receiving touchdown. You come over, you take a look at it. 22 carries, 75 yards from Quinshon Judkins isn't bad. You know what I mean? You come and take a look at the defensive side of things. There it is, New York Jets. This is what I always say about the Jets. It's very simple. Excuse me. The Jets' defense is never the issue. It's always their offense. They had 6 sacks. Now, mind you, it's against the Cleveland Browns, and of course, we all know their offensive line isn't necessarily the best. And heck, they wasted some good years of some really good offensive linemen. Don't believe me? Go see Joe Thomas, one of the best offensive linemen in the world. Wasted all his time, wasted all his good years, not even trying. So 6 sacks, 4 from Will McDonald IV on his own. Now, oddly enough, your name is Will McDonald IV, and you had 4 sacks. What a coincidence. And then you had Jermaine Johnson with the other one and Quincy Williams with the last one. Then you come over and the Browns, they had their 3 sacks. Of course, Myles Garrett got 1 of those. Cameron Thomas had 1 of those. And then Schweissinger and Malik Collins combined for a half a sack. They 10 TFLs by both teams. Like, this is not a negative thing, people. It's once again, this is the same. It's the same situation for both teams. It's not your defense, it's your offense that's not very good. That's the unfortunate issue there. So when you come in, take a look at the kicking. Schmeichel, 100%. Nick Folk, 100%. You can't even be mad at it. But at the end of the day, man, the Jets get another win. Both of these teams are 2-7, and the Jets sold everything they could before before the trade deadline. So they're going into next year's draft and the year after that, with a lot of firepower to be able to get up there and try to gather themselves some good players. My suggestion is, number one, go get a quarterback, because Justin Fields obviously ain't it. Fields been bouncing around the league, and we all know how that works. And it's nothing against Justin Fields on a personal level, but he just isn't good, man. And we've seen too many games from him where Justin Fields will literally be playing and have, less than 100 yards passing. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, this is just backwards. Sometimes you just got to realize when you accidentally blew it, it is what it is. But next game on the docket, we got the Bucs and the Patriots. Patriots get the dub in this when they move to 8-2 and the leaders of the AFC East. We thought the AFC East was going to belong to the Bills for a very long time. Drake May came along with Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels and Robert Kraft, and now they didn't figure it out. And they're throwing people we don't even know half the time. But, hey, they got the dub there, man, 28-23. Only a 5-point win, you know what I'm saying? And they basically just scored in every quarter. They said, hey, we're going to score a touchdown each quarter and win the game. And, the Bucs, they tried to do the same thing, but second quarter failed them because they only got 3 points, but it is what it is. You take a look at it, Drake May, 16-31, 270 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception, was only sacked once. Baker Mayfield was sacked twice, but he was 28-43 for 273 yards, 3 touchdowns. Those are some pretty good stats. He had a few different dudes, Sean Tucker, Rashad White running the ball. They went over 100 yards rushing as a committee. Travion Henderson, he ran all over this Bucs run defense, 147 yards. 10.5 yards per carry, 2 TDs, and along the 69 yards. So that 69-yarder with that, you kind of skew the numbers a little bit. You'll drop that 10.5 average down to probably about maybe 4 or 5, somewhere around that range. But it's not bad. I mean, that still tells you he was running all over them regardless of that big run that he had. You come over, you take a look at it. Emeka Egbuka back in the business. Him and Mac Hollins both went over 100 yards. Only difference is Egbuka caught 1 TD. Tej Johnson caught 2 touchdowns. He only had 1 sack by the by the Tampa Bay defense, 2 sacks by the Patriots defense. You take a look at the kicking. And Andy didn't need to really do anything in the field goal because he just was kicking extra points, made all 4 of them, made things work. Same thing for Chase McLaughlin. He was 100% too. But at the end of the day, they just scored a little bit more. Game was very close. Nobody got blown out. But, hey, it worked out for the Patriots, man. 8-2. They are balling. 6-3 for the Bucs. They still atop the AFC South. And this was an AFC South battle nobody saw coming. It was the Panthers versus the Saints. And the Saints actually won a game. Now, mind you, this is a divisional game, so you never know which way it's going to go. It's always going to sway. Now, shout out to the Panthers for being 5-5. Hey, they're not under 500. They're just barely at 500. So you gotta appreciate them for doing that. But Panthers couldn't score after the first quarter. Saints defense showed up and shut them down, and that is a good thing. Tyler Show seemed to be a lot better than what Spencer Rattler was doing. 282 yards passing, 2 TDs. He was sacked twice. And then you look at Bryce Young, 17-25, 124 yards, and an interception. That just ain't going to cut it, and that's why he lost the game. Not even over 100 yards rushing by committee, but 1 touchdown from Rico Dowdle. And it's usually Rico Dowdle has been balling out of his mind, but this game he only had 53 yards. But once again, it's a divisional game. Those are a lot harder to deal with. Alvin Kamara, 22 carries, 83 yards. Didn't look so bad. Chris Olave, 5 catches, 104 yards in the tutty. Juwan Johnson with the touchdown. No touchdowns for the receiving crew. They had the fumble that they lost. You know what I'm saying? But Pete Werner recovered, and then you had the lost fumble there, but it was recovered by Damian Lewis. So a little bit of everything there. Looks like the sacks for the Saints came from Cam Jordan and Nathan Shepard, and the sacks for the Panthers came from Trey Wallace and Nick Scourton. But that's basically what it was. You had that 1 interception from Alontae Taylor. Then when you come down, you take a look at the kicking, 100% for Blake Group. And then Ryan Fitzgerald, he missed himself a field goal, but that field goal wouldn't have mattered either way. They still would have lost 17-10 even though. So definitely, a nice little divisional battle, good game. But that just tells you, once again, these divisional battles are rough. That is an NFC South battle, and the Saints came out on top. Jags versus the Texans. Now, Davis Mills went and balled out in place of C.J. Stroud. I didn't have a lot of faith in Davis Mills, but hey, he went out there and proved me wrong, man. So the Jags scored in every quarter except for the fourth, and the Texans scored in the second and the fourth. Nothing in the first or the third, but they had an offensive explosion in that fourth quarter, man. 26 points in the fourth quarter alone. And that right there is why they won the game, because you scored 26 in the fourth quarter and shut them down on offense. They scored no points in the fourth. And that's a beautiful thing that tells you DeMeco's Ryan defense is hardcore, man. Hey, they beat us. C.J. Stroud lit us up. Davis Mills, 27-45, 292 yards, 2 TDs. Did have an interception, and he was sacked twice. But, hey, man, you still won the game. Woody Marsh ran the ball, 14 carries, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. Then you come in, Nico Collins, 7 catches, 136 yards. He didn't score, but Dalton Schultz and Jaden Higgins took care of that. And then when you come over, you take a look at it, and you look at the sacks, 5 sacks from the Texans defense. Daniil Hunter with 3.5. See, this was a dude that I wanted for the Niners so bad. I wanted them to go after him hard because he is an amazing pass rusher, and he usually is very healthy. One of the underrated dudes out there in the world. The 2 sacks came from Eric Armstead and Antonio Johnson. It's funny to see Eric Armstead with a sack because he usually doesn't get very many. Jacksonville's kicking, Cam Little was 100%. Matthew Wright was 100%. So this just shows you, man, you got to play 4 full quarters. And that's what the Texans did. They understood that in that first and that third quarter, they got shut down by the Jags defense. But they said in that second and fourth quarter, we're going to explode and be able to get you. So definitely a great game. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Davis Mills for going out there and balling out, man. Cardinals and the Seahawks, I talked about this. This was a beatdown. It was so bad that in the first quarter, it was 21-0. By the third quarter, it was literally 38-7. That's how bad. I can't believe this was very ugly. Of course, Jacoby Brissett, 22 of 44, 258 yards, 2 TDs. He was sacked 5 times. And then Sam Darnold, 10 of 12 for 178 yards and 1 TD. Huh? So then we had Zach Charbonnet with his touchdown. And then we had George Holani. He had a touchdown rushing. So that only accounts right there for just was that 1, 2, 3, 4? It's 3. That's only 21 points. So the rest of this stuff, man, came from a lot. So fumbles on both sides. Jacoby Brissett, Josh Sweat, Zayvon Collins. Like this is crazy, man. You got all these dudes. There was a lot going on in this game. Sacks came from Nicky Manwari and DeMarcus Lawrence. 2 of them came from Trice Knight. Don't even know who that is. Leonard Williams, Boye Mafe. These are normal dudes that would get sacks. The lone sack for the Cardinals came from Josh Sweat. Come down, take a look at the kicking, 100% for Seattle. And hell, the Cardinals could barely even get in range. They went up to Seattle and got themselves beat down. This was definitely a very, very ugly game. You kind of feel for the Cardinals, but then at the same time, once again, another divisional game that makes it very, very tough. This game right here, man, hurts my heart because we usually beat the Rams, and we usually have a good beat on them. Matthew Stafford beat the brakes off of us. The man was shimmying on the field, you know what I'm saying, and he killed us. We only sacked him 1 time. We had opportunities to sack him, I think, at least about 3 or 4 times. But 24-36, 280 yards, 4 TDs, man, and he murdered us. He lit us up. Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Colby Parkinson, and Davis Allen all caught touchdown passes. Kyron Williams, 14 carries, 73 yards, 5.2 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Blake Corum even had 13 to 56. He averaged 4.3 yards. Kyron was averaging 5.2 yards per carry. Our run defense is something awful. But then you come over here, Mac Jones, 33 to 39. So he only went 6 passes. That's actually not bad. He threw 3 TDs and 1 interception. We just couldn't get the run game going, and we just couldn't keep up with the scoring. We got down so quick. If you look at it, like I said, by not even 5 minutes into the second quarter, it was already 21-0. So the 49ers, right before the half, they show some signs of life. They go ahead and they get 7 points. So we're like, all right, cool. We get the ball back at the half. We should be all right. Score again. Cool. Now we're looking a little bit better. Things are going to start working. Nope. Rams just said, well, that's fine. You score, we'll score. And it just kept going like that. And they just kept running the score up on us, man. We just could not keep up with it. I know Mac threw his 3 touchdowns, but, we needed a little bit more, man. It was definitely very, very hard for us to be able to make things happen. But this is definitely just a rough time, man. Just a very rough time. 49ers just didn't look so good, and it was hell on us. It was hell. They beat the brakes off of us, man. They didn't even sack Mac Jones, but it was just their coverage was solid. They were tight. They were sticky. You know what I mean? The interception wasn't even Mac Jones' fault. That was a tip drill. You know what I'm saying? So these are just things that happen. Once again, divisional games are very tough. We got the brakes beat off of us, man. George Kittle, 9 catches, 84 yards with his tutty. Juwan Jennings, 6 catches, 71 yards and his touchdown. Luke Farrell had a TD, but we had that Juwan Jennings fumble as well, and that led to points. So there's just different things that happened throughout this game, man. It's just very, very ugly. Like I said, we got the sack. That was a half sack by Keon White, our new addition, and Kalia Davis. Then you come in, you take a look at it, man. We just didn't have the firepower. They didn't even need to kick no field goals because they was just scoring touchdowns. We couldn't even get into field goal range on some of the drives that we had, and we had a missed extra point by Eddie Pinheiro, which is extremely rare. Then you had Morstead punting and Ethan Evans. We just got the brakes beat off of us, man, by a divisional opponent. We're still 6-4. And we're hoping and praying that we see Ricky Pearsall come back. We're hoping and praying that we see Brandon Ayuk at some point this season. We're hoping and praying that at some point we see our starting quarterback, Brock Purdy, who we're paying $252 million to. So we're sitting here just as injured as all get out, and we just really need to get our guys back. The crazy thing that I will say about this game specifically is that Mac Jones is out there doing what Brock Purdy couldn't. And what I mean by that is everybody he's playing with are backups. for the majority of all these people. None of these guys are actual starters outside of Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. And he didn't have Kittle for a minute. He only had CMC. And we were still finding a way to win games. So it's very rough for us, and it hurts my heart to be able to have to say that we took an L. But I mean, divisional opponent, Rams came into our house and beat the brakes off of us. We went in their house and we barely won. So they got their revenge, man, and they beat us badly. Another beatdown right after that. That swing, that's 3 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying, including extra point, man. It is very, very rough. And when you look at it, man, Detroit scored in every quarter, so did Washington. Detroit scored more. Um, Jared Goff, 25-33, 320 yards, 3 TDs, wasn't sacked at all. He was balling. Marcus Mariota, 16-22, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked twice. So, I mean, those are all right numbers. But they couldn't run the ball. Even by committee, they barely even got over 100 yards. Some dude named Chris Rodriguez Jr. scored the only rushing touchdown. But this is the problem. Look at this right here. Just these two. Both of these dudes had 15 carries. Jahmyr Gibbs, 142 yards rushing. David Montgomery, 71 yards rushing. That's just that alone, bro. That's over 200 yards from two different backs. Commanders defense got to step it up. You can allow that. That's 226 yards in total rushing. That's insane. But Jahmyr Gibbs was the star of this one. He had his 2 touchdowns rushing, then he had his 1 touchdown receiving. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown with a touchdown, Jameson Williams with a tutty. Only person that caught a touchdown for the Commanders was Deebo Samuel. It's just things are rough, man. It's definitely rough. You come in and you take a look at the sacks. You got Brian Branch had 1.5. His other half of the sack came from Roy Lopez. Of course, the Commanders didn't sack anything. Almost 100% by Jake Bates. He just missed an extra point. But 100% by Matt Gay. He only had 4 points. So just when you look at this, man, it was the rushing that destroyed the hopes of the Commanders in this game in any way, shape, or form. It was just ugly altogether. And then you come in and you take a look at it with too bad. You know what I'm saying? They can, get old Aaron Rodgers. He was 16-31, 161 yards, only 1 TD through 2 interceptions. That can definitely kill a game. Justin Herbert, 20-33, 220 yards, 1 TD, but he was sacked 5 times. That tells me that offensive line has got to do a little bit better. When it comes down to that, Rodgers was sacked 3 times. Then you take a look at the rushing. Not very much from them. Jalen Warren, 14 for 70 for the Steelers. 25 carries, 95 yards, 1 TD for Kamani Vidal. He definitely did good things. Ladd McConkey over 100 yards. He had that lone touchdown thrown by Justin Herbert. But basically, you come in, you take a look at it. Roman Wilson, 2 catches, 35 yards, 1 TD. DK Metcalf was targeted 7 times. He only caught 3 passes. That means that they stayed with him. Those 5 sacks came from a variety of different people. You had one from Keanu Benton, another from TJ Watt, one from Nick Herbig, and 2 from Alex Highsmith. Shout out to Alex Highsmith. Hey, man, his dad is one of the coolest people in the world. Met him online doing some live streaming and whatnot. Very, very nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Alex Highsmith and his pops. Pops, you would definitely be proud your son's turned into a superstar. Then you come in, you take a look at the kicking and whatnot. Chris Boswell, he missed a kick. Wouldn't have made a difference even if he made it. Cameron Dicker missed a kick. Wouldn't have made a difference whether he made or didn't make that because they still had to score and they won. But definitely, man, look at that right there. Pittsburgh Steelers held to 3 in the first, nothing in the second or third, and only gave up 7 in the fourth. That is fantastic. When you give up 10 points as a defense, you got to love it. You've got to be very happy about that, man. Because it's an AFC win, so that when it comes to the playoffs and whatnot. But things have been working well for them, man. Shout out to the Chargers. Shout out to my brother AC the Barber. Bolt up, baby. Bolt up. And then the final game, the Monday night game, this game to me was extremely disappointing. It was an NFC battle, but both of these defenses showed up for the game, and it killed me because I had Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown starting, and neither one of them did anything. So my fantasy was screwed, and I got the break speed off of me. Believe me, it was ugly. I think I only had like 56 points. The other person had like 100 and something. I was out there getting killed. So you can just take a look at it. Dallas Goedert, 4 catches, 43 yards. Really? A.J. Brown, 2 catches, 13 yards. This is what we're doing. Jalen Hurts, 15, 26, 183 yards, 1 TD. He wasn't even sacked. Saquon Barkley, 22 carries, 60 yards, 2.7 in average. I told y'all that Madden man is having a season that is bad. Luckily, it's not an injury season because that's one of two things. With the Madden curse, you either have the injury riddle season or you wind up having a bad season. You regress in some way. Not much more from Jordan Love, 176 yards passing. Josh Jacobs, 21 carries, 74 yards, 1 TD. So see, like these defenses really showed up, man. They shut things down. 3 sacks by the Packers, 6 TFLs by the Packers, 3 sacks by the Philadelphia Eagles. You got Nolan Smith, he had one. Hunt had one, and then Nakobe Dean had another. You come down, you take a look at the kicking for Philly, it was 100%. Brandon McManus. All you needed to do was make a field goal. This goes in the OT. This is why kickers matter, people. This is why kickers matter. But either way, man, that's a recap of week 10 of the NFL. We got week 11 coming up. We've got the card for us. We have the Cardinals going against the 49ers. Definitely we'll get a preview show in on that one. You know what I'm saying? We'll probably still be seeing Jacoby Brissett because from what I hear, the Cardinals are out on Kyler Murray. They figured out the experiment wasn't working out, and they finally moved on. The biggest problem in the NFL is that people don't understand that there are certain people that aren't going to get you anywhere. And when you give dudes that kind of money, you got to see a return on your investment. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry, you were never going to see a return on your investment with Kyler Murray. You knew that. You paid him out of panic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's a lot, 50-50 games this week. But you pay Kyler Murray all that money. He's never going to do nothing for you. He ain't never got you a playoff win, nothing. At the end of the day, I'm sorry. If I see you and you've been with my team for several years, we ain't even made the playoffs, I'm not giving you no money. When it comes time for a new contract, I'm lowballing the heck out of you. And if you don't like it, that's fine. I'll draft another quarterback. But I'm not paying someone who has done nothing. See, a lot of people will tell you Brock Purdy didn't deserve his contract. Brock Purdy went to an NFC championship and played in the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy deserved every penny he got because the market dictates what you get. It's just always how it's going to work. So for me personally, Brock Purdy deserved his money because he's done some things. You know what I'm saying? Some of these quarterbacks that have gotten paid that are currently being paid high top dollar, they ain't got nothing. Trevor Lawrence barely won a playoff game. Lamar Jackson can't beat Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen cannot beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. They can't. They simply cannot. You know what I'm saying? And it's certain people that are out there just getting broke off something real, like Tua Tagovailoa. He don't deserve that kind of money. The team is 2-7, and you've never been to the playoffs with him under center. Heck, the beginning of his career was literally a bunch of concussions that had fans just scared for the man's life. Fans had to make a big enough of a fuss just for y'all to sit the boy down. I'm just saying that there are just certain things that go on in the league that just never make sense, but it is the way it is, and that's going to be the way it is. Quarterbacks will always take precedence. They will always be the highest paid players in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? And you can try at different positions to try to get more money, but it's extremely rare that you're going to do so. But if anything, for the 49ers, man, for our outlook for the rest of the season, it's if we don't see Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and Brandon Ayuk, at least after this bye week, shut them all down. There's no point. There's no point. Now, I know that we have rumblings around there, and there are rumors that Ricky Pearsall is going to be back on the field and whatnot. I completely understand it. I get it. But my problem is, don't put him out there if he ain't ready to go. He ain't been on the field since, and I'm just getting frustrated with all these injury-prone players. You know what I'm saying? Our first-round picks have never really been the best. Mike McGlinchey worked out, but he was just a great run blocker. He wasn't very good at pass blocking. Now he seems to have figured out both while he's over there at Denver. You know what I'm saying? Brandon Ayuk is good, but he's had several years of injuries. Nick Bosa, several years of injuries. It's just very frustrating, man. It's really hard because the Niners consistently have some of the worst training staffs in the world. And it seems like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan don't care to fix it. Hell, they definitely don't care to fix this offensive line, which is horrid in every which way you can think of. We were running the ball fine with Matt Hennessy. The minute Jake Brendel's worthless self got in there, now we can't run the ball again. I'm just, like, there's just certain things with the Niners that just frustrate me to no end because I'm not one of those people who's going to trust that the team knows everything that's right. I'm not going to be the yes man. I'm not that guy. You got agreeable people out there. You got guys that won't talk bad about the team. You've got guys that are overly optimistic. You got different types of people. I'm a realistic individual, and I will not give this team credit that they do not deserve. I'm not about to sit up here and tell you that Kyle Shanahan is the greatest head coach we've ever had, because he's not. That man is dead. That man is dead, and God rest his soul. His name is Bill Walsh. Kyle Shanahan is literally the worst head coach we have ever had based on his regular season record. You don't believe me? Go look it up. I give facts. I don't give fiction, and I don't care about your feelings. So at the end of the day, man, the thing for the Niners is to continually try to get healthy, continually try to get better, and just keep letting Mac Jones cook. If Brock Purdy is fully ready to go, if that toe is fully healed, he's out there, he can do what he does. Put him on the field. But if it truthfully is something that's really that bad and he just cannot get over it, it's something that's really just going to take much more time, and we get to the bye week and he ain't played, just forget it. Because at this point, this is a must win for us in the division. When it comes to the Cardinals, we've got to win this game. So if we can pull this win off here, that still gives us, a little outside looking in, as far as the playoffs and whatnot. We might be able to sneak in for the wild card, because we're not winning the division. That's going to be decided by the Rams or the Seahawks, unless one of those two teams just starts tanking after beating the brakes off of us as far as the Rams go. But we'll see what happens. But that's the recap for Week 10, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in and hanging out with your boy. If you caught me at the end, go back and watch. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. I am one person away from 600 subscribers. I just need one more person to just hit that like and subscribe button, man. One more, and that'll be a celebration for me to get to 600, and then it's on the 7, 8, so on and so forth. So definitely, I appreciate any and everybody that tunes in and hangs out with your boy. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. I will be at that Cardinals game, having a blast with my boys from the AZ Niner Empire. You know what I'm saying? I might even try to catch John Chapman and his crew and whatnot. But thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm going to get out of here and get ready for work. Stay up, stay faithful, be blessed, have yourself a wonderful day. And remember, the good Lord will never put anything on you that you cannot handle. Continue to have faith, and the Lord will guide you through whatever you're going through. God loves you. I love you. Have a good day.